A lot has gone on since I have recorded one of these things last, both out in the world and at this desk. But I don't really have anything on my mind at the moment, and that is because I have been focused on this thing for the last couple months. What you're looking at is actually the inaugural app for the application server I wrote a couple of years ago called Intertwingler. It's actually older than Intertwingler by quite a bit. I started working on this thing in 2013, more off than on, unfortunately, because I didn't have a substrate that I could use to move it forward past a certain point. So it's finally kind of busted out, and here we are, and we can finally work on it. So it's called Sense Atlas, and it is a planning tool for organizations. And so my intent is to use this in my consulting practice going forward, and hopefully build it up over the next year and change and turn it into an actual product that stands alone that people can use. It's all open source though, so it'll be kind of like an opt-in situation. All the data is open as well because I believe that it's important to be able to have full access to data and to be able to compute over it so you can actually do stuff with it instead of just look at it with your eyeballs. So what you're looking at here, this graph, is an issue network. And the stuff in the middle, in the center, is sort of high level stuff people understand, and then the farther away you get from the center, like the more in the weeds you get and the more technical stuff gets. Now, just want to let you know that I'm going to be working on this visualization here, so this is not the final product, but this is probably like the fourth attempt I have had at visualizing this stuff, and it's just going to be something that I iterate over forever. The more as I get data, really. So you begin in this methodology, and this is something that I didn't invent. This is a thing called IBIS, Issue-Based Information System, that comes out of the 60s by a guy named Horst Riddle. And but I'll tell you about what I did invent in a second. But the basic idea is you start out with an issue, is a thing in the world you want something done about, which is what you're looking at now. And of course, everything in the center, or what's always in focus, is always what's in the center. And then you can sort of see the neighbors as they light up. You might be able to catch that just in the light here. The compression doesn't kill it too bad. But the idea is you start out with an issue, which is a thing in the world you want something done about. And then you respond to the issues with positions, which is what a specific strategy or tactic that you want to do about it. This is, by the way, is real slow because not only am I running this client and the server on my own laptop, I'm also running the streaming software. But then once you've got the position that responds to the issue, and again, you can see it rebases to the center what's talking about here. Once you've got the position that responds to the issue, then you have arguments that either support or oppose it. And then you just cascade onward, like you add to that structure. And what that does is builds up a structure. Effectively, it builds up your project plan, builds up your resource plan. Now, I got interested in this because it is a sort of form of project planning, resource planning thing. The issues in IBIS more or less correspond conceptually to like an issue like in a bug tracker anyway, like a Jira or GitHub or whatever. But they're more generic, like they can be an issue about anything. So like any of these sort of central things, like this is something, this is something that is easily understood. I mean, if you understand what these entities are, client wants, that's a thing that is going to be easily understood. So my contribution, aside from making this into an actual executable thing, is sort of making it so that so like an issue is not necessarily a goal or an actionable thing. It's just something you notice, right? But you upgrade. I mean, in this case, particularly, it is a goal, but it predated this what I'm about to show you, so it's still pink, and instead of this goldish, bronzish color. Just ignore the CSS, by the way. I haven't worked it out yet, mainly because I haven't decided what the heck is going to go in this lozenge thing. But anyway, you upgrade an issue into a goal. And a goal is just an issue that somebody wants. We haven't put this together yet, but that's basically what I'm working on right now. And then similarly, you upgrade positions into tasks. And so in this case, we want to be able to, this thing is talking about itself if it wasn't already obvious. Like all of the entities in here are about the thing you're looking at, just to be weird and self-referential. Again, we're still working on this, and by we, I mean me. So again, the sort of teal color is a task, whereas the sort of more lime green is a position. So again, you're sort of upgrading a position to a task. Now, a position, again, is just a decision, or it's just an assertion. It is a position. It is what it says it is. And it's just like, we should do this thing. So there's a sort of an upgrade path from a position to a task, which actually like assigns like who's going to do it and like when it happened and when it's going to be done. And then again, but it still inherits the same stuff. So this has got a collection of issues around it and a collection of subtasks. And the idea behind this is to actually try to figure out the resource consumption and the actual commitment of resources that needs to happen. Now, not pictured here is another type, which I'm still working out, called a target. And the idea behind a target is sort of a methodological thing that I came up with, where you split the concept of a goal. So when issue gets upgraded into a goal gets upgraded into a target, or at least gets complemented as one. And by that I mean, and this is the sort of the mechanics that we still have to sort of figure out, and we haven't been able to figure out because there hasn't been a UI for doing it yet. But it's basically this. An issue is not a goal. An issue is just like, I noticed this thing, this painting is crooked, whatever, there's an issue. So a goal is an issue that you want to do something about. Particularly, there's like some future state, and again, the issues inherit from states. There's like this sort of state, issue, goal, target, kind of a progression of refinement of concepts, or formal logical entities, or whatever you want to call it, classes even. So an issue graduates into a goal by saying, like, this person wants this thing to happen. And then it's only got like a bit associated with it, like is it satisfied or not? And the idea behind that, and of course you can go back to like management consultants like Peter Drucker or whatever, saying like a goal isn't a goal unless it has like a budget attached to it and a deadline. Otherwise it's just a wish. Now, I looked at that and I said, you can't really attach a budget and a deadline to something unless you actually like know about like how you're going to do it and what that's going to cost. Otherwise it's purely aspirational. Right. So if you go back to a goal, you can say, well, this goal could be achieved by more than one candidate possible task, because a task it graduates out of a position. You would say, we could do this strategy or we could do that strategy. And this strategy is going to cost this much and that strategy is going to cost that much. So which one do we pick? And then there's a adoption process that I still have to figure out how that's going to be represented. Again, this is a work in progress, but the idea is that there's potentially more than one task, and the goal, or the sort of this is when we get the language confused of the meta discussion versus the discussion of the thing itself. What we do with this tool is we try to determine, okay, well, we're going to do this thing. We are going to take this approach, and we have all agreed, and we've signed off on it. There's a sort of endorsement, like button aspect of this that I haven't put on here yet, but we've signed off on this, and this is what's going to happen. And then only then do you say, okay, well, now that we know how we're going to do the thing, this is when it's going to be done. Now, there's another aspect of this too, which is a process model that I've been working on that kind of like inverts that. I'm not going to get into that here, but this sort of process model is the sort of crucible for figuring that methodology out, and I will link the methodology video here. Anyway, gonna finish my coffee.